Hello guys and welcome back to my what I watched last week. We're almost finished June. What kind of fresh hell is this? Right, let's just get on with what I watched last week. Let's get the old screen recorder on. Okay, so I think the 14th was Monday past, so let's start with The Lift. This is Spanish, El Ascensor. This is, on their 5th wedding anniversary, we have a couple in a lift that get stuck in a time loop. Now, I inadvertently talked about this at the end of last week because I didn't know what date Monday was. This isn't too bad. It's worth a watch. It's only just over an hour long. They're stuck in a time loop. They press a button on the lift and whoever presses the button is aware of the time loop. The other person is not. They had been having an argument. Trying to convince someone that you're in a time loop when you're having an argument, just no. They have to work through this together somehow in order to get out the other side. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. I really need to subscribe to Letterboxd Pro to get rid of all these adverts. I will do at some stage. Or if it doesn't bother you, let me know, because I don't think I suppose I could attach reviews, but I don't do reviews all that often. So yeah, The Lift, not too bad, worth a watch if you've nothing else to see. Spanish, 2.5 out of 5. On the 15th, I went to the cinema to see The Conjuring. I had no intention to go to see this because I don't really like the Conjuring movies. I've talked about that before. I won't spend a lot of time talking about this because I did a review about it. I went to see it because the football's on the TV in this house permanently over this next few weeks for the Euros. I really enjoyed this. I'm hearing a lot of people say they didn't like it. I did. I don't really like the other ones. I like this one. Now, I'm not sure if that's a cinema high because I'm back in the cinemas again and happy that I'm back in the cinemas, but I enjoyed this. Full review is on my channel if you want to watch it. The only time I tend to do movie reviews is when I do this little like roundup, which isn't proper reviews, and a Come With Me, which again, I generally don't give you directors or actors or anything else, but there are channels you can get all that awesome information from. I'm just saying, I've been to see this, it's good, it's crap, whatever. I enjoyed The Conjuring, the Devil. As a matter of fact, this was my favourite in the franchise, in the universe even. 3.5 out of 5. Someone did a video the other day called The Decline of the Conjuring Universe, and I'm thinking I preferred this to all the others. So yeah, I would give that one a thumbs up, go see it. On the same evening, I watched a movie called Tragic Jungle. This is on Netflix at the moment. This girl you can see in the photograph here, she is in the jungle attempting to escape from a rich white husband, someone that she has basically been given to marry, and she's like a young attractive woman. And she does not want to marry this guy. She is in the jungle with her sister and another person. Is the other person a doctor possibly? And they are trekking through the jungle trying to escape this guy. The guy does eventually get to the jungle and he's hunting her down, but she also crosses paths with these gun workers, and that's a whole other side story. It's okay, it's not too bad. 2.5 out of 5. Okay, so we're on to the same evening again, and I watched Cruella. I was going to hold out on this. I don't like spending money on this sort of thing, but I'd heard so many 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10 reviews, I had to watch this, and given what so many people were saying about the 70s vibe, and I am in love with 70s fashion and music, so I had to give it a go. So this is obviously the backstory to Cruella de Vil. Cruella as a young woman played incredibly by Emma Stone, who pretty much can turn her hand to anything. As it says, it's 1970s London amidst the punk rock revolution. This young girl, Estella, is desperate to become a fashion designer, to work in a particular place under a particular woman played by Emma Thompson, also fantastically. And she is living with these two guys. They're getting by committing petty offences, crimes, stealing, that sort of thing. But they are her family, they look after her, they love one another. And one of them tries to get her dream, working in this prestigious place. I don't want to tell you too many things, but she gets a job and that's where the film pretty much kicks off. She's fantastic. The style in this movie, the fashion, the soundtrack, how it looks, the cars, the shops, is just a complete joy. And it just makes you want to be alive in the 70s. Well, I was alive in the 70s, but my age was in single digits. I was a wee baba. but oh, it's beautiful to behold. I wouldn't say the story is a 10 out of 10. I would say visually, thematically, scene-wise, fashion-wise, it's a 10 out of 10. I would say story-wise, maybe an 8.5 out of 10. It's still excellent, still really, really good. I give it a 4 out of 5. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but I would say it's well worth your time checking it out. It's really, really good. Next evening, right, very few people will have any interest in this. This is a documentary. Basically, obviously, I'm from Northern Ireland, and it's a uniquely personal journey to mark the centenary of the partition in Ireland in 1921. So basically, it's about the history of basically Britain takes over Ireland, and at a certain time there's a thing called the Easter Rising where Ireland wants its country back, and an agreement is made that Britain can keep a few of the counties of Ireland, and the most of Ireland will take itself back ownership to itself. So that is the foundation of Northern Ireland, or Ulster, where I live now. So although I live in the island of Ireland, and I myself would consider myself to be Irish, I can also consider myself to be British or Irish, whichever one, because this part of the country is owned by Britain. Hopefully that makes sense. A lot of people really struggle with it, and they say things to me like, how much stamps do I have to put on something to send it from England to Ireland? And it's like, it's just like you're sending it to Scotland or Wales. It's part of the UK, even though we're on the island of Ireland. So this is basically a programme to celebrate, if that's the word we want to use, the partition of Northern Ireland. And it goes over some shots of the Troubles. There's a couple of shots in this that I'm really surprised they got away with putting on TV. It's in the aftermath of a bomb, and it's horrendous. It's horrible. But basically it's about the politics of Northern Ireland. As I say, it's not something that most people will find interesting. Obviously, me being where I'm from, I find it interesting. So yeah, that's Peter Taylor, who is the journalist in this, that has been in Ireland for years. Something that I found really interesting was where it shows back in the sort of late 70s. Well, it'd be the 80s that I remember the soldiers being on the end of street corners with their massive big guns in uniform, and they'd be like down on their like hunkers, like peering round ends of walls with their guns out. And I remember that really clearly from being a child growing up. Like occupation and the army were always there. So that was interesting. I gave it a 2.5 because I felt it was a very one-sided story. As I always feel is the case, they do very much to anyone outside of the country just talk about the IRA, and that's it. They do mention there are paramilitary organisations on the other side, but it's not really concentrated on too much. And the world don't really know the ins and outs of Northern Ireland. I probably don't really care, to be fair, but when I watch a documentary about this country, I like to see a fair two-sided approach of both sides of the coin, so to speak, being told, and I didn't really feel that was the case. But then again, in a documentary which is celebrating the partition, which is something that a lot of people that would have nationalist views or Republican views or that want a united Ireland, they wouldn't really want to be celebrating the separation of their country. So maybe that's why it had those kind of views. So politics lesson over. On the 17th, I watched Diaries, True Story of Chris Chambers. Now, I was really irked by this because I thought this was true. I'm just stupid. Currently documented as one of the most supernatural recorded events to date. The encounters recorded by Chris Chambers have been studied by industry professionals and proven to be accurately recorded paranormal accounts. Currently documented as one of the most supernatural recorded events to date. So I read that and I thought, oh, let's have a look at this then. It's not. It's a found footage, pretty average, not very good, about a guy. A Dybbuk box is a box which is apparently supposed to contain the soul of a demon, and it has been sealed closed with wax, and you can buy these things. Now, this guy wanted to buy a genuine one, or so he said, so he got it on the dark web, deep web, whatever you want to call it, and he paid $250 for this thing, and it arrived, and we basically follow him opening it and what happens in his apartment after he's done that. It's not too bad, it's okay. I give it a 2 out of 5. I was really disappointed that it wasn't true. That annoyed me. If you like found footage, you may as well watch it. I like found footage, so I'll watch anything like that, but I wish I'd known before I started that it was found. That's just the naivety of me, probably. It's not its fault. So, oh no. I don't remember the last time on Letterboxd that I actually gave something a 5 out of 5. This is the new musical at the cinema called In the Heights. I have done a separate Come With Me, so I won't talk about this all night, much as I want to. I will say, even if this does not appeal to you, go and see it. It didn't appeal to me. I do like certain musicals, but not loads. I like Phantom of the Opera. I like the Sweeney Todd movie. I like the Greatest Showman. I'm not a big fan of loads of musicals. My husband detests them, so I never get to see them. I'm a big fan of dancing. I like dancing. I thought this was like just a typical like Step Up type movie. I could not have been more wrong. Sean urged me to give this a try from Lost in the Rail. He said it's so much more than that. Give it a try, and I did, and it was. This is just a movie about an entire community living in Washington Heights in New York, about the trials, the troubles, the tribulations, the hardships, the ups, the downs, the sense of community, and it is wonderful. Every character is really well developed. The music now, I don't like hip hop. I don't like that kind of thing. I'm not a fan. I'm a big rock fan. But I loved this, absolutely loved it. So I can't even say to you, I like musicals, I like the style of music, because that wouldn't be my style of music, and it wouldn't be the type of movie I would generally go and watch. But if you don't see this, you're missing out. Try and ignore the fact, now there is a lot of singing in it, which personally worked in the style of the movie for me. It's like if you watched La La Land and you enjoyed it, which I did, and I did, very much so. Watch it. It is marvellous. If you don't shed a tear while watching this movie, there's something wrong with you. My face was wet. Thank God there was a couple of lads in with me, a few rows in front, and we were the only three. I was in the back row, so nobody could see me crying. But, oh my goodness, wonderful. Go watch it. 5 out of 5. Following day, I took my son to see D'Artagnan and the Three Muskehounds at the cinema. This is my favourite childhood cartoon. I had 2 or 3. This one... Somebody's at the door. Okay. There was someone at the door to pick up Darren's parcel. Of course they came in the 10 minutes that he was out of the house. D'Artagnan and the Three Muskehounds. Favourite cartoon as a child. Also Cities of Gold, which I didn't know was made by the same people. Took my son Isaac to see this, who's 10. He enjoyed it. I'm surprised. I thought he wouldn't really have liked it. I would say mainly it would be more suitable for younger children. They had sections of this which was told in the original animation, tiny little bits, not very much, and that was a joy. Beautiful. I don't really like the way it's been modernised and made like 3D for today's children, because it's not done well enough. You know, we need to be doing it to the level of Pixar, DreamWorks. You know, we need to be doing it to that strong a level, and this wasn't. There are scenes in it, like Jamie Powell, who also went to see it, said, that are gorgeous, but in the most part, the animation I felt would have been better if left in the original 2D format. Story was very straightforward, very simplistic. We had the One for All and All for One, Muskehounds Are Always Ready tune in there, which is a must do. At the end they had a sing-along with the words. Although, there's a single magpie in my garden. Honestly, that thing torments me. In the original theme tune, I'm sure they used to go da 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 da. They didn't go, what was it said in the cinema? Go ahead, go ahead. I can't remember. The lyrics were wrong in the cinema from the original one. Anyway, I gave that a 2.5 out of 5. I enjoyed it because nostalgia. D'Artagnan and the Three Muskehounds I just loved to death, but I wouldn't say rush out and see it with your kids. I wouldn't say adults would get anything from it unless they were big fans of the original and just wanted to watch it. And I would say if you bring your kids to see it, younger kids probably preferable. On the 20th, this would have been Sunday night, would it? I can't remember what date, the 20th. Right, this was a surprise. Fatherhood with Kevin Hart, of all people, who obviously we all know is a comedic actor. This is anything but comedic, folks. This is a new movie that's hit Netflix. A widowed new dad copes with doubts, fears, heartache and dirty diapers as he sets out to raise his daughter on his own, inspired by a true story. I didn't know this was a true story. I'd have probably cried more had I, and yes, I cried. I cried. The true story, the memoir, I think is called Two Kisses for Maddie. His daughter's called Maddie, and he always would give her 2 kisses, one for him and one for his wife. What this is about, and this is not a spoiler even though it will sound that way, you can see the second word I read was widowed. Kevin Hart's wife has the daughter and she passes away. There's a complication and she dies. And he is the last person that anyone feels that will be able to raise this little girl on his own. Doesn't have a lot of support from either his, well, he has support in the physical sense, almost that his mother-in-law wants to take over. But he doesn't have a lot of people believing in him, even his own friends that thinks they can do it. And this movie follows him from when the child's a baby up until she's, I don't know, possibly about 10ish, somewhere around there, and about all the difficulties he encounters as we go along. This is a beautiful movie. Kevin Hart's performance, he does so well in this. Really heartfelt, really believable, lovely relationship with the little girl. And as a parent myself, things that he encounters and difficulties and quandaries and guilt very much resonated with me. 3.5 out of 5 I gave it. I thought it was excellent. Would thoroughly recommend. Okay, and lastly, last night we rewatched The Dead Don't Die. Now, that's what I gave it last time. If you can see on the screen, I gave that 0.5 star. I'm going to give it 2 stars this time. Because last time I tried to watch this was when it just came out. Why is the 2 stars not popping up? God only knows. Last time I watched this, myself and my husband, who is mad about zombie movies, absolutely, I'm just still trying to log it. I'm pedantic. I need things. Your diary entry was updated. Thank you. Much obliged. Last time I watched The Dead Don't Die, we watched 20 minutes of it and couldn't bear it and switched it off. My husband loves, it's probably his favourite genre. His favourite film of all time is Dawn of the Dead, the original Romero one. He just loves this kind of thing. He loves Iggy Pop, who is also in this as a zombie. The cast in this, let me scroll down for you. Bill Murray, Adam Driver, Tilda Swinton, Chloe Sevigny, I can't pronounce her name, sorry. Chloe Sevigny. Steve Buscemi, one of my all-time favourites. Danny Glover, Caleb Landry Jones, Rosie Perez, Iggy Pop. I mean, that cast list. What I discovered last night is Adam Driver's got a wonderful voice. He should do like audiobooks or voiceovers or something. He's got a fantastic voice. I think I can switch this off now to prevent myself losing my rag again. We looked at it a bit more this time as being something a bit silly and daft. I think first time we thought it was going to be like either laugh out loud funny or like seriously good with the cast, and we were just so disappointed. But I think taking it a lot more daft and light-hearted, and that it is going to be stupid and silly, we got a bit more from it. I wouldn't say the zombies look pretty good. The scenes where the zombies attack people are pretty bad. The scenes with the aftermath of the zombie, like the special effects for the bites, are pretty poor. The acting is a bit, I think it's meant to be a bit stilted. It's the type of characters we have. It's meant to be that way. And it's a bit jarring if you're not expecting it. Having watched it a second time, I enjoyed it more than the first. I sort of persevered with it this time. And it wasn't too bad. I got a couple of laughs from it. And I wouldn't say rush out and watch this. It's amazing. But I would say give it a chance. Watch the whole thing. It's like the movie. Completely different movie, but Flashback that I watched last week. First 20 minutes I was thinking, oh Jesus, I need a university PhD to understand what's going on here. Persevered, penny dropped, was getting it, and really enjoyed it by the end. This one, nowhere near as good obviously, but persevere with it. It's decent, it's okay, it's worth a watch. It's not as terrible as I originally thought and said when I first watched it. So that's what I watched this week. The other thing I'm watching, I started watching a new Korean series called Beyond Evil. I've only watched a couple of episodes of that at the minute. I'm watching a lot of true crime stuff. I'm trying to keep up with people's YouTube channels. So yeah, that's what's been going on this week, guys. Again, drop in the comments any recommendations for me. Listen to the dogs. That's my husband back with Isaac. And yeah, In the Heights for me this week has been eye-opening, absolutely amazing. I can't encourage you guys enough to go out and watch it. It's so worth it. And thanks for watching this week, guys. I will catch up with you next week. Over and out from Lisa Lives.